we have started volume 3. It is in volume 3, Vak Suktam. Interestingly, in yesterday's class, we have been studying, we have just concluded in Dublin class, Vivek Chudamani, and in our New Albany class, we have taken up the study of Vivek Chudamani. In Adi Shankara makes one a very interesting observation. The observation is, it is very rare, it is very difficult to get a human form, Manushyattvam, and for a human being to be inclined towards liberation, Mumukshutvam, and to get the company of a noble person as a teacher, Mahapurusha Samshrayaha. And this can happen only by means of Daivanugraha, by means of God's grace. So in the context of Vivek Chudamani, I was parsing that in a different way. Now here, Daivanugraha, that here, what is the Devata whose Anugraha is required even to get the Mumukshutva? Somehow we have got Manushyatvam. And of course, your homework is even to define what Manushyatvam is. Are we really human beings? We may be Homo sapiens, Homo erectus, probably. But are we really human beings? Because if we have to be a human being, there has to be a samskriti, a culture has to be done. And that culture is where constantly we are striving to go beyond dharmartha kamas. And dharmartha kamas are always subjected to kala, desha and sannivesha. That means it is relevant to time, it is relevant to space, and it is also relevant to the situation. Sannivesha is situation. So in all kala, desha, sanniveshas, we have to pursue dharmartha kama so that we can convert the adibhautika, adhyatmika and adidaivika tapas into a training ground. Adhyatmika, adibhautika and adidaivika tapas are the heat in which this human being who has taken birth cooks himself and then makes it as a very edible entity. So just as there are tapatrayas, there are 3 tapatrayas, just as there is in the pursuit of our dharmartha kama, 3 entities are there, and the relationships are determined by the 3 concepts called kala, desha and sannivesha. Similarly, there are also 3 aspects of culturing that has to happen, that is vak, first of all, and the body and the mind. So even though they always say kaya, vacha, manasa in that order, saying that body and then speech and mind, actually speech is the most important portal for us to uplift ourselves. And therefore, vak or vani at its grossest level is the articulated speech. At its grossest level is that which is audible to others. And therefore, that which comes out of our mouth as a audible sound which can be heard and interpreted by others, that has to improve in its quality dramatically. And therefore, Vak Sukta is where we are seeking the Daivanugraha of Devi Saraswati, of saying, by myself I cannot perfect my speech. How much of Shastra we have been studying, does it mean to say that our speech has got perfected? Isn't it? How much of Shastra Dharma we know? And in spite of that, in times of anger or in times of stimulus, our Vani becomes Durvani. And therefore here we are now praying in Vak Sukta that under all the circumstances may my Vani become Samskrita Vani. That is one which has got a fine culture. When there is an internal culture, we can build an outer world. Every person builds one's own outer world. Though apparently the Panchabhuta world looks alike, Suppose you go out and see, your car will be in the same place whether you see it or I see it, location-wise. But the way in which you perceive the world is highly individualistic. And then what is the standard? And how to establish that standard? It has to start with Vani. And that is why we have the most famous prayer, Keyura na vibhushayanti purusham. Hara na chandrojvala na snanam na vilepanam na kusumaha na alankrita murdhajaha. Vanyeka samalankaroti purusham ya samskrita dharyate kshiyante khalu bhushanani sadatam vagbhushanam bhushanam. This is a very well-known subhashita. That is, what embellishes a person is not the various ornamentation that he wears. Keyura means, as a sample, they take an ornament, the shoulder ornament. That doesn't really embellish him, nor one which is shining like the moon, the necklace, nor it is a pure body where you have taken a fresh shower, you have come out of the shower fresh, or applied all kinds of perfume, na vilepanam, or you are wearing some very fragrant flowers, na kusumam, or having tayaras on your head, na alankrita murdhajaha, vanyeka samalankaroti. It's only how we speak that actually embellishes a person. Ya samskrita dharyate. What kind of speech is that? That which is full of culture. All other bhushanas, kshiyante, they actually perish, but vagbhushanam bhushanam, the bhushana or the ornamentation of fine speech is always makes a person shine. And he becomes a yashakaya. Yashakaya means his body is not the mortal body, but it is the body of good name. That's why Valmiki's kaya is Yashakaya, Vyasa's kaya is Yashakaya, Satyakama, etc. All of them are Yashakaya. They never perish. And it is within the reach of every one of us when we get the blessing of Devi Saraswati. So the question first of all is, in all Anubandha Chatushtaya you might have seen, in all our Shastra Vichara we say, before embarking on anything we have to have four important predetermined thoughts. That is, who is competent, adhikari, and then what is the subject matter, vishayaha, what is the relationship, sambandha, what is the desired outcome, prayojanam. Adhikari cha vishayaha, sambandha cha prayojanam, shastrarambha phalam prahuhu anubandha chatushtaya is the sutra. So who is the adhikari? Whoever wants to have this vagbhushana is the adhikari. The vishaya is perfected speech, samskrita dharyate. Then what is the sambandha? The sambandha is, I want me to be able to speak in such a quality. And what is the prayojana? The prayojana is any one of us who want to have harmonious relationship with everyone needs this. If we don't have or pursue the ideal of harmonious relationship with everyone, and if we say we are selectively going to be good with some people, with some other people we hate, and that is not going to work in Samskrita Vani. It is not that you just go and embrace everybody, but the thing is, you do not hate anybody, and you do not speak ill of anybody. And that standard will, when you set such a standard, then such a speech, what happens? It becomes sabha yogyam. It becomes fit to be spoken in an assembly of noble people. So when there is an assembly of noble people, if you find anybody or yourself, you catch yourself gossiping, such word, such speech is not sabha yogyam. That means go back to the drawing board. Then secondly, In addition to being sabhayogyam, it must be chittakarshakam. It must attract the minds of the noble people. Actually, gossip is also very juicy. And it's very attractive. But it is not sabhayogyam. Isn't it? Because you don't dare speak to the person about whom you are gossiping. Isn't it? And therefore, it has to be chittakarshakam. It must attract their minds. To whom? Those who are our own. And in an assembly, even if there is somebody who is not known to us, it must be chittakarshakam. Because if somebody knows you, you are brother, sister, husband, wife of somebody, and or in whom you have got some respect, suo moto there is a liking, isn't it? Whereas what about a person who is totally unknown to you? You are walking in the mall, and then you are sitting in a restaurant, and what you speak is heard by the person who is next to you. He should not cringe because of the kind of language we are using. And therefore, it should be to the unknown, to the learned, to the uneducated, and it must be pleasant even to the enemies. Ideal, you can see even in Krishna, the way in which he speaks in the Sabha. Even to the enemies he speaks like that. All is consolidated in a beautiful Subhashita and a prayer. Tastu vachaha sabhayogyam yaha chittakarshana kshamaha svesham paresham vidusham dvisham avidisham api taha vachaha astu. Means such kind of speech, mama, to me, astu. Let me get them, which is sabhayogyam. I can speak anywhere, in any company. Yaha chittakarshana kshamaha. That words which are competent to attract the minds of everyone. Of svesham, of their own, our own, paresham, somebody else's, vidusham, of the learned, dvisham, of our enemies, avidusham api. Even those who have no, even a person who has no education whatsoever, even his mind also should be got. For that, when you say taha vachaha mama astu, means you are worshipping Vagdevi. So, what is that kind of speech? That kind of speech should be truthful. 16 qualities have to be there. It should be truthful. Tatyam. It should be wholesome. Patyam. It should be well reasoned. Sahetu. It must be pleasant. Priyam. It must be uttered in a very soft tone. Amita mrudulam. And then it must be substantial. Saravat. And then, but at the same time, it should be unapologetic. Because suppose you are saying, I am a person who is religious and I do puja, I worship, I go to a temple. You don't have to be apologetic about it. Because all that I am saying is tatyam, is patyam, is sahetukam, is priyam. And it is said with a very soft voice. And therefore, and it's also saravate. I can give 1,000 reasons why we should be worshipful. And then it should be dainyahinam. Dainyahinam means it should be unapologetic. Then saviprayam. When we speak, we must add something new to the conversation. Original thinking. Saviprayam. With original ideas. And durapam means it should be irrefutable. Solid evidence you should have. If we impose all these restrictions, slowly we will become silent.
Good. Maybe that's why they put so many conditions.
Then savinayam. It must be done with all modesty and humility. And then ashatham. And ashatham. That means it should not be done forcefully by saying, you are wrong, I am right. Ashatham. Then chitram. We must speak something special and something unique. Chitram. And alpaksharancha. Very difficult. Especially for me. And alpaksharancha, that is use minimum number of words, minimum sentences, talk as less as possible.
Perfect.
Bhakvartham. If you make a statement, it must give myriad meanings. For instance, I'll give an example. Mukam karote vachalam. It can be vachalam mukam karoti. Mukam vachalam karoti. So how many ways you can understand bhakvartham? And then with many applications, kopa shunyam. It must be free from anger. Smita yuta ghanam. It must be told with a smiling face. Smita yuta ghanam. Dakshinya. And it must be done with a consideration. Dakshinya is a consideration. Consideration that the other person knows everything. Dakshinya. And then sandeha hinam. You should have no doubt about what you are speaking. And then vakyam bruyat rasajnaha. Such a speech one person do, where parishade samaye, whenever he is in anybody's company. And then it must be saprameyam. You should be ready to defend what you are talking about. And it should be visible to the other person, saprameyam. And then you should not be careless in what we speak, apramattam. 16 qualities. And for the sake of getting this high 16 qualities of speech, tathyam, pathyam, sahetu, priyam, amita mrudulam, saravad dainyahinam, sabhiprayam, durapam, savinayam, ashatham, chitram, alpaksharancha, bhakvartham, kopashunyam, smita yuta ghana, dakshinya, sandeha hinam, vakyam bruyat rasajnaha, parishade samaye, saprameyam apramattam. And for the sake of getting this quality of speech, the only way is to pray to the Devi Vak, Devi Saraswati. And we'll look at the mantras. Having established the Anubandha Chatuštaya for studying the Vak Sukta, we will enter into the text in the next class.